What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to carry on with our Genesis Hemi swap. In the previous video I showed you guys that we did the interior swap, but there's a few things inside that we actually need to wrap up before final assembly. So let me catch you up to speed and we're going to get right into it. Alright, let me get you up to speed what was going on behind the dash to actually get it fitted. So we end up using the center section of the Challenger to actually mount the dash like it is in the OEM car, and to get that bar installed and leveled we end up using Genesis side braces, or the side attachments right over here, and basically we just cut them on each side and trimmed them up to size and got them back welded up. And then we had to make a new legs at the very bottom for the transmission tunnel to support this weight over here, and a few clearance adjustments right in this area for your HVAC to make sure it clears and it doesn't rub. So that was just to get the bar in, and then obviously there was a lot of trimming going on to get the dash installed itself. But I have not done the center console yet, so that's why you guys see this giant hole right here. The center console would not actually fit because of that hump that's over here for the manual transmission shifter, and our center console is too large to go down on here. So I end up cutting this off, and we're going to be putting a plate over it, getting it welded, seal seamed, so no moisture gets into it, and we'll get that to that here in a second. I wanted to show you this. So there's the center console, and where the shifter sits, right in this area where you see the four nut plates, that's the area that actually goes down low, and it was contacting our tunnel. So I ended up cutting that out, making some plates to block that off. So we're gonna go ahead and get them installed, tack them in place, test fit it, make sure it all works, and then we have to make a rear attachment somewhere on the back of this transmission, on the back of the transmission tunnel right over here, for the rear of the console to be mounted. So I end up taking off the bracket from the Challenger, and since it's already the same width, we're just gonna have to find a location where we can mount this. So we'll do that as soon as we get the front all situated, and we will install the dash, make sure it all fits, and then we'll get our back legs straightened in. Here's our plates that will be going in here. There's our upper plate, something like this, and then we're gonna have this forward plate basically looking something like that when it's all done. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this paint off so we can go ahead and tack weld all this all the way around, and then we'll put our dash in and make sure our center console fits. So let me get to it. The paint's been removed, and we went ahead and sprayed some weld-through primer on both sides, the tunnel and the plates that are going to be getting welded. So I'm going to go ahead and get them all lined up now, and we're going to tack them. Plate is all tacked up now. I just threw a couple quick tacks on it just to hold it in place, and then if it all works, we'll weld it all the way and seam seal it. So for now, we are going to get our dash back in and put our center console in. There we go. So everything came out pretty good as expected. I'm just kidding. So everything fits. We have no gaps. Our alignment pins line up with the dash. Our screw holes line up. Our center console sitting pretty solid. Now we just got to get these back attachments made so it can be sitting here nice and proper. But overall came out pretty good. I think the dash is looking sick. So let's put these on and then see how we're gonna attach it. There's that bracket installed now. So it is sitting a little too high. I don't really like that. It's probably not so noticeable, but just knowing that there's gonna be a gap there, you know, we can't leave it like that. So we're gonna go ahead and drop this. I will use the OEM bracket, and I'm gonna figure out where it's gonna sit. It's gonna basically sit right here on this hump on the transmission tunnel, and then there's gonna be a little bit of adjustability, but we're gonna have to lower it. So where the original holes are at, and there's nuts welded to the back side of it, we're gonna cut that off or keep it maybe, and no, we're gonna have to cut that off because it's gonna have to go higher. And then we'll make our own holes and we'll put some riv nuts in there. That way it will be all secured. So let's take that off. That's what it looks like on the back side right here. I'll set it down. That's what it looks like on the back side. So I'm gonna try to trim this piece all the way up down to this nut plate and see if this will be able to go down a little bit lower where we need it, or we'll actually have to move this down. Alright, here's with the bracket trimmed, and I was hoping it was going to sit a little bit lower, but we still got a slight gap. I know the carpet and this cushion is going to go under it, but I think it's still a little too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these original bolts out. We're going to bolt the bracket to the transmission tunnel. We're going to see where it fits right now the best. Looks like we can pick the middle of this hump right here, because right now it's all the way back. There's a stud sitting in the middle. So if we mount it there, I think we're going to be all good. So I'm going to take that off, mount it to the body, and then we'll see where our holes line up. We'll mark them and we'll drill our own holes. Look at this. Something lined up on this car. The OEM holes to the OEM holes of this center console bracket. Unbelievable. We did have to cut a stud off right here, but that could not be any better. So I'm going to put some bolts in here, and then we're going to have to trim this down a little bit more so the center console can sit. Alright, this is our fitment now. The bracket is bolted into the chassis, so this is still got a good gap in it. And I think it's safe to say we can go ahead and cut that whole nut plate off. That's the original one, and then you'll be able to sit lower. We'll mark our hole, put the riv nut in, secure it. We have no gap, and this is not bolted down yet all the way, so it will squeeze in a little tighter, and we'll get rid of that gap. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull that off again, cut it, put the riv nuts in, and then we're gonna go ahead and secure the center console, take a look overall result. All right, everyone, here it is. We got it all secured. Now it's bolted up on the front. Both screws, alignment pins are in, and then we made our bracket a little bit shorter so the gap is gone. The carpet's gonna fill in the rest of the gap. So it came out looking pretty good. Same thing on the other side. There you go. And it's nice and sturdy. It's not going anywhere. It's not even moving at all. So I'm pretty pleased how it came out. So that's awesome. And there's a few things that we got accomplished. We end up running a power wire from the battery to our fuse box that's located in the engine bay. So that is all ran. It comes out around the strut tower and it goes down into that corner. If you see a little rubber nipple there, that's where our feed through is, and then it pops out underneath the dash over there and runs to the battery in the trunk, which we did mount a OEM tray from the Challenger in there. So the battery is going to be located right over here. This is OEM battery from the Challenger, and its tray, it's been already screwed down and secured. So the battery is going to be living over here. And here's the fuse box. Usually you'll find them like next to it by the battery in the Challenger, but we chose this location right over here. So this one's been secured. That's where it's going to live for its time. And we also tested our fuel pump. The fuel pump works. That was all good. And Joey's been working on these headlights, so he ended up wiring up this headlight, and it does work. It does turn on, the blinker, all the whole 9 yards. And this one's still in progress. Actually, when the car came in, we're missing some wires from this. This is aftermarket. Sorry, it's taped right now because it was falling apart. But this is aftermarket HID setup here, and what we're going to have to do is make a new connector and run some wires to get this one hooked up. But he's been working on the wiring to get that one all squared away. And we also finished extending our ABS unit connector. As you all know, we moved it to the back corner from the front right to the back right, so we had to extend several wires. That's all been extended, and now we just got to put this in the loom, and that will be 100% complete. So there's been some good progress going on. I did want to show you something that we'll be working on next. Let me pull this dash out and we'll check it out. Here's our next project. We have to get our steering column 100% mounted now. So we got 4 holes on the steering column. This is where the steering wheel goes on, and the back 2 holes get picked up, or they should be the front 2 holes get picked up by this bracket that was mounted at one point to our support bar that the dash screws onto. So it was too long to have it in here and get it fitted. So what we're gonna have to do is basically cut it off on the back side to where we can still have it in here. 2 front holes get picked up by these 2 studs, and those 2 holes are the OEM setup, same deal, from the support bar to the firewall. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim this down as far as I need to get it fitted, because it sits in there like so. 1 second. Can't really fit it, but it goes, this big opening goes on the back side of this tube, and then it goes onto the firewall. So what we're gonna do is cut some off on the back, and then I have the Genesis set up right over here. Let's walk over to the Z. It looks a little bit different. Here it is. It's a lot smaller, but I think what we're going to do, we're going to utilize this back portion because it's already bolts to the firewall. So what we're going to do is use the back side of that and the front side of the Challenger, and then try to spice them. At least that's what I think I'll be able to do at this point. And then our steering rack is going to be 100% mounted in the car. That's going to take some time to mess around, and that's going to be in our next video. So for right now, this is going to be it. Please like, subscribe, check out our merch, and I'm going to see you next time. Take it easy.